are live. Welcome to the Tuesday team call. Always excited to have guests on the call. It's always fun to have people. Hi, Monique, by the way. Always nice to have people who are friends in particular, I think is always fun. And today we have one of those people, Shane Mason Fryer. Shane has been a coach since 2012, and in that time period has become a 13-star, 5-time elite Million Club member, which is my favorite club, quite frankly, because it's kind of the one that it represents longevity for the most part. There aren't very many people who have gotten into that club in a very short period of time. It represents, I think, consistency over time and growth and development of your business and your team, which is a lot of what I really want to talk about with Shane today. But right now, I want to just kind of do what we always do at the beginning of these calls, which is just have Shane kind of talk to you a little bit about her story, and how she came to find Beachbody and the whole growth and development of that. One of the things that I think is so cool about our team and the company as a whole, and the people that I get to make friends with, is we have such diversity of backgrounds. Pat Reelman was the last call that we did, and Pat was a financial advisor, and I was a lawyer, and people come from all kinds of different backgrounds. And I think that's one of the really cool things about it. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Shane to just sort of tell us her story, and then we'll get into some questions and stuff. And Monica's with us today as well. So Shane.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Monica. Thanks for asking me to speak. It's an honor, given, you guys are our founding coaches, my uplines. So it's just very exciting for me, because I didn't even know that when I first, I didn't understand any of it, like many coaches, I still don't, how it all works. But, I started in 2012 when my kids were 4 and 8. And it kind of just fell in my lap. I always say, being at the right place at the right time. I was a gym mom, meaning I was there every single night, no matter what. I don't care. It didn't matter. I was going to the gym. That was the only thing for me. It's what I did. So I would work all day. I was a social worker for 17 years. And I would go to the gym with my kids. And so I'd pick them up from daycare and drop them back off in daycare. And I'd go to the gym for an hour and a half. Wouldn't talk to a soul, had a hat on, probably people thought I wasn't nice at all. And it was really just because I wasn't really that happy, and I needed to get home because of backs and all of that. So this one night, I'll never forget, it was a Tuesday night, it was April 24th. I went to go get my kids from childcare, and my son, I take them out, and all of a sudden my son's not next to me. He's 4. If you have a boy, and he's up at this table with chocolate shake all over his mouth. And so, of course, I have to go retrieve him. So I go up, and there's a gentleman, wiping my kid's mouth. And I'm like, first of all, this is another 30 seconds. Now I'm really pissed off, and, sorry, whatever. So, I was kind of, looking at what he had, and I saw this bag, and, I saw a brochure, and I grabbed it. And that was really it. And I remember I had anxiety, it was I had to get going. And I believe at my upline felt that and knew that. And that's really important, guys, is that you have to know your audience. You have to know where people are at. And he knew that wasn't a good time for me, but he said this, and this is the most important thing, the life-changing moment. Can I follow up with you? Now, I looked mean, but I really wasn't, and I'm not going to be no. So yes, I wrote my name down on a piece of paper. I forgot about it, but I remembered enough to just Google it, Shakeology. And I remember the first thing I said was to myself, why this one? Why this shake? I just needed to know, there's a bazillion. I knew that I was spending, I'm so embarrassed by this, but I think it was $18 for a protein shake at Walmart that I loved. It was vanilla. Now I know why I loved it, because it was full of chemicals, and that's why it tasted so good. But that's what I drank. It was a protein shake, which I believe probably almost everybody in the world, well, not everybody, but most people drink a protein shake, right? But that's not what this is, right? We know that. It's not a protein shake. And he followed up. And I was not going to invest the 4 something a day. I mean, I definitely was stuck. I had plateaued, but I wasn't going to do it. He was knowledgeable. He gave me enough information and not too much, but I knew I was just like, okay, like ready to hang up. And then he said this. This is also a business opportunity. And that was it. I was in. What he didn't know is that for the last 60 days, I had been thinking about doing something. He didn't know that. When you saw me, I was a crazy busy gym mom who was reasonably in shape and had 2 little kids. I advertised I had a full-time job, so why would I need this? So he didn't play God. He just put it out there. And luckily he did, because I was thinking, do I want to become a personal trainer? I was thinking about teaching spin. I was talking to my colleague who's now at the top of my left leg, my first coach, who was sitting behind me in our office with no windows. And I said, I gotta do something. What should I do? What should I do? Maybe I'll teach spin, or I should do something in fitness. It's the only thing I like. And then when he said that, I remember I was in the side conference room hiding from my boss. I go back in, I go, I gotta talk to you. I just hung up with someone. Remember I told you about the gym and I met someone at the shake? Do you know that it's a business? She did not hesitate. She goes, you should do it. And I'm like, you didn't even hear what I said yet. You should do it. Do it. And I did. I signed up a couple days later, and in 6 days I was an Emerald and just never stopped. And that's how I got started.
Okay, that's fantastic. I love that. I think just to sort of highlight on that, and then I want to get into it and talk a little bit more about it. Just understand the thing you should understand, right? You hear that story and you go, well, that's never happened to me, right? Well, maybe it's because you're not asking. That could be the first reason. It might also be because you're already presuming, what do you say, playing God, right? About that sort of thing. The thing for me is, I think that, because I have had things like that happen, and you kind of go, whoa, like you just never know who you're talking to. And you never know when you're talking to the next member of the Million Club, or of, the next 5-time elite coach. You just never know who you're talking to, right? And so you have to approach it that way, just from a mental perspective, and then allow yourself the freedom to not be disappointed when that doesn't turn out. Like, let me ask you a question, Shane. Has that happened for you?
Where I invited someone that I thought they would never.
Yeah.
I mean, every day, that's kind of how I lead my business. So yes, has it happened? Yes. And that's probably why I still have hesitated to ask people, because it's hard. It's hard. And had I not had that experience, maybe I wouldn't be where I was. Maybe if I didn't have that voice saying, you wanted it, why wouldn't they want it? So I feel very lucky in that respect, that it actually happened to me. So not to like predetermine someone's destiny. Oh, that person's too smart, or that person has too good of a job, or I know they're really comfortable financially. I know that their husband makes a shit ton of money all the time. So I still struggle with it, but I think because it's my story, and that's why I love to share that piece, we just have to, because it's not always about the money.
Yeah, for sure. So then what happened? So I think you said Emerald in 6 days, right? So not messing around, hitting the ground running.
Spouse.
What's that?
Spouse and best friend, right, guys? Spouse and best friend. You sign up in 24 hours, you sign your spouse and best friend.
Right. And now obviously, because you did that, they're in a great position to have some success with this business as well. So then what happens? Like, where do you get to the point where you're like, okay, I want to do this thing? What was the next thing you did? Did you spend a lot of time training or learning, or, what'd you do?
So back then I had a weekly call with Bob Lucido, one of my uplines. It was 90 Days to Diamond. It was an hour-long call, and like that's what we did at that point. So that's what I did. And National Wake Up Call was still around, so I listened to the National Wake Up Call, and I did what I was told, quite frankly. But the turning point, because I really had no clue what I was doing, and I feel like 7 years is so long ago, and so much has changed. But I just thought, okay, let me just talk about it. I'll sell some stuff. All right. Like, I was told to do a shake and share. So I did. I had people over my house. We tasted Shakeology. We did that a lot. I would go to a gym and have people taste it. But about 6 months into my business, I listened to the 48-hour business presentation that will change your life.
Go ahead. Keep going.
You can tell who my uplines are. And you guys can get it right on Google. Just Google it. I think there's an audio too. It's really short. Wow, I don't even have that book. Don Fella.
This is the 45-second presentation. I think it's a different book, actually.
What did I say? Did I not say that?
You said 48 hours, I think.
Yeah, I'm wrong. You're right. It's the 45-second
okay.
business presentation. I'm wrong. Ignore me.
I'll post this.
I said 48 hours. My new coach training is the first 48 hours in your business. And that's what I said. Best friend in Emerald, first 48 hours. So it's the 45-second business presentation that will change your life. I didn't even have a book, and I still don't. I Googled it, and I had a PDF of it. And I read it. And I realized, holy moly, if I can find 5 of me, I can change my life. And that, I was like, 5? I can do that. And that's what I did. I went out and looked for me.
Talk a little bit about that 40. I just posted a link in our group under the chat there. So for anybody watching this, that's what that is. Talk a little bit about like that book and kind of what that, what they recommend in there. Cause I do, this is Jimmy, actually Jimmy gave me this book and not that long ago too. It's a couple of years ago. He's like, I think Eric Worre, maybe somebody turned him on to it. And he was like, you got to read this. And I was like, oh, that sounds like exactly what Craig Holiday taught me how to do. But talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and it really just focused up to the 4th napkin, guys, to be honest. But it's basically, you're looking for gold ships. You're looking for producers. You're looking for a few quality people that have the drive required to be a top coach. And that is usually certain attributes about yourself that you love, and certain things you don't like, certain things about yourself you don't like that you don't look for. Like for me, I'm really disorganized and I'm kind of messy. But that's also, sometimes that's the package deal. So you're just looking for 5 people that can present the business and basically produce. And those are your gold ships, and there'll be gold ships and then there'll be not gold ships. And who do you spend your time with? And it's quality over quantity. It's not huge numbers. I have never, ever been huge numbers. I'm not a big SC person. I'm not a huge recruiter. You won't see any of my names on any of those boards. I wasn't taught that. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, in how I learned this business, is that's not how you create freedom. That's going to give you a paycheck. And that's wonderful. You make your $50 off a challenge pack, but that's not going to create residual income. And that's where my focus went, on the business. And because even though my health changed, I always say I saved so much time working out at home. Like I feel like my life freed up because of our home programs, and I stopped going to the gym, which I never thought would ever happen in a million years. But for me, my transformation was financial, was my lifestyle. So that's why I've always led with the business. It's my favorite part in this business. And the rest is all like the perks. The perks for me is getting fitter, feeling good, having those superfoods and what it does for you. That's all the extra perks to the business side. And because all of that, what I said, you can do, but you can't do it if you don't believe it's true. You can't fake that. So you have to believe it. And I believed it. After like 1 week on Shakeology, I remember saying this out loud to the universe. I believe every person needs to drink Shakeology on a daily basis. I believe that. So when you truly believe that, and you're not holding your shake, you're not skipping Sundays, you don't bring it on vacation. Like when you don't do those things, you truly believe you need it, like water, like your vitamins, like air, then you can say that very comfortably because it's true.
You know, that's a bunch of comments on that. The first one is the belief thing. I don't know if it was the first time we met. I don't remember if it was the first time we met, but I remember talking to you in Nashville. And we were at that bar. It was like wooden, kind of a sports bar. And we're standing at like a high top table. And I've gotten this feeling before. I remember the first time I sat down with Christina Delgado and Becky in Las Vegas. And it was the same sort of thing where I'm like, this woman, one of the ways I describe it to my team is, and I'll probably talk about this on your call, is that you've got to believe that it's real. It just hasn't happened yet, right? Like it's real, but it just hasn't happened yet. And when I remember talking to you and just walking away going, oh, she's going to crush this thing. Like, you know, because it was here. It wasn't like, there wasn't doubt, you know, you had questions or stuff you want to talk about for sure, but there wasn't doubt, and doubt is the killer. You know, I was just on a mentoring call the other day, and I was like, you know, if I could hand you a magic pill like Morpheus in the Matrix, right? And this pill would just do two things. The first one is create urgency in your life, that this is urgent and you don't be too comfortable. And the second one is just a fundamental belief in that we have the best products in the world and we have the best business model in the world and that you can do it. And just that, those two things, doesn't matter what is in the way, those two things cut through all of it. The other thing you talked about a little bit, and I'm glad you did, because this is something we touch on a lot too, which is just you're looking for 5 people, right? I think there's a misconception, and I think a lot of that comes from a lot of times the people we see on the national call, you know, and they're whatever, they've got, I don't know, you know, they recruited 175 people last year or whatever, you know, and there's this belief that it's about the numbers rather than about the quality. And I wanted to ask you, I was going to ask you about another book, which is this one, because I was watching your, 1 second. Hey, honey, you got a delivery? Finn, just chill out. Sorry, we have a wine delivery. This guy usually do the call at 11, and he knows, so he comes a little early. So I forgot that we had a delivery coming. Anyway, so build to last. Earlier today, I was talking about I posted your champions thing, and we'll get into that little training on the champions page. But talk a little bit about this. I know you read it with your team. How'd that go?
I mean, it's Keith Callahan. Again, another one of my mentors. It's crazy. I was trained by all men. And like a lot of people look at this network as like women focused. That wasn't my experience at all. All of my uplines are men for the most part. It's the same kind of philosophy. It's like, you know, you want to create freedom, and you know, there's recognition and then there's freedom, and you can have both. I believe that. I do believe I try to work in a middle ground, but it's really about, you know, and I think what gets people is it's like, oh, 5. How many times have we all thought we found our 5 and they weren't? See, that's the hard part. See, that's like that little writing on the bottom that I should disclaim to you is, you think you have the 5, and when they leave you, you have to go replace those 5 because they will leave you because they weren't the 5. See, you thought they were, and they weren't. And that's the hard part, and we have to rebuild. And I think if you've been around a long time, you've probably had to rebuild. I know I have. And that's a whole nother call, and one I don't even want to have because it's only about the here and now. But you are going to have to present the business as number 1. You have to present the business. And if you're not, that's why you're not finding business builders, unless sometimes you get really lucky, like some people where your son has chocolate shake all over their mouth. But that's really rare. That's like that network marketing that you hear about, like that one lucky thing that happens. Guys, that's not going to happen to us. Like I wish upon it. It just doesn't really happen. So you have to invite to the business, and you're looking for people that they have to know you're going to work hard. Oh, work an hour a day, blah, blah. Come on, guys. You don't work an hour a day and make six figures. We all know this. You got to be real. This is a hustle. This is not easy. This is hard, but it's freaking fun hard. Like, I'll take this hard any day over my bartending till 3 a.m. and working as a social worker being called a BITCH every 4 hours. So yeah, choose your hard. I chose mine. This was an easy hard for me. So, you know, that's a book to read along with my other Bible is GoPro and the 45-second business presentation that will change your life. But presenting the business and looking for those 5 people and knowing that you're probably going to have to rebuild. So always do a personal development for your mood and your spirit and your heart, but make sure you're doing something business-wise because this is a business. You have to remember, you're a business owner, and you have to say that every day when you wake up that you own a business. And I don't think we do. I don't think coaches do. It's like, it's not looked at that way. And the second you start to look at it for what it is and pretend you didn't invest 160, but you invested 160,000, it'll change.
Monica, do you have something?
I just wanted to, I wrote down what you said because the truth is, you know, whatever you choose to do, it's not going to be easy. The hustle is not going to be easy. So I think that you really put it in this incredibly exciting perspective for me. And I know what you're talking about because I live what you're talking about, which is choose your heart. You know, you can go every day, you can go do the grind wherever you want to do it. This is an incredible opportunity that will pay you way more than you could get in any conventional job. It's whether or not you are going to choose your heart. So thank you for saying that. Like, of course, I'm writing down your books you recommend and that you sincerely encourage us to present the business. You know?
And also just quickly, and I think this is why it's so hard for so many people, is when you hustle at work or bartending or, you know, you take that extra project at work, maybe there's a bonus or maybe there's an extra $100 tips or you might get that pay increase or not. It's instant gratification. You're a waitress. You're going to walk home with $100 extra. This isn't as tangible. And so if you're not connected to that vision and belief, that's too far for many people to, I have to do all this to get that. Yes, you do. And if you can't accept that, like that's the choice. Instant gratification right now, like a Big Mac and 100 extra pounds, or hustle, 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 work for free, 5 years, change your life. And that's all, it comes down to vision. And I was very clear, very early. I luckily hated my job. I think that helped me. I love that people love their job. I love that. But I'll be honest, you gotta have something that irks you to the core, that instant gratification is okay. Like you could be like, all right, I don't care about that. Just like TV or staying up late, not sleeping. If you can connect to that vision. So I'm not here to do like a why call, but guys, if you can't talk about why you're doing this and it causes us a real feeling of anger or sadness or whatever, it should really just like have some kind of an emotion, a strong one. Just do the work. Find your why, because then I personally believe you don't give 2 craps about television. You don't care what time you go to bed. All you're doing is getting over there.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. I had a little more of an intro to this, and then the delivery guy shows up, of course. But you know, the other thing about this book, and this is a question too. And I want to recommend, I'm going to post the link here in this to Shane's Beachbody Champions page training, which was a very tactical training. And we talk a lot about the difference between fundamentals and tactics, right? Like fundamentals never change, you know, tactics change all the time. And so you've got to like stay current with the tactics. Monica and I are actually going to meet in a couple hours and talk about some new tactics that we're going to try and implement. And if they work, then we'll share them with you guys. But that was a very tactical call. And I love that. Stuff like this is more fundamental. And this is another thing that I know has been drilled into you through Bob and Keith and all these people who, you know, we really have the same philosophy. And a big piece of that is working deep in your downline, right? It doesn't necessarily get you attention or maybe even recognition, but it's tends to be what produces volume, which ultimately is how we get paid. So talk about that. Like, what do you do with your people? Maybe what's the tactic to implement the fundamental, if that question makes sense?
Yeah. So just in the last year or so, I've moved away from Facebook groups, guys. Like, how many groups can we be in, right? And I just love little training hubs. So I have hubs, New Coach Hub, Emerald Hub, Mastermind Hub, Strategy Hub. And it's really for accountability, and it's for people that deserve it. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I always laugh, and I'm like, please forgive me, Danielle. Who's your upline? I just don't even know who their upline is. I don't care. I'm like, oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. And you're down Second Business Center, inside leg. You're my husband. Like, it doesn't matter. I've always worked that way, but way more in the last year. Because what happens is sometimes coaches leave and then they have these diamonds in the rough that have no upline anymore. And so I've been more aware that, wow, like that one's not there. So who's supporting all of these people? And they rolled up to who knows where. So that happens after years and years. And after 7 years, that's going to happen. And their upline is not here. So that's more of a reason why I didn't have to the first 2 years, because everyone was pretty solid and they had their upline and I would just bleed it down. But it's different after you've been around. But regardless, this is the smart way to do it. If there is an incredible possible producer on your team and their upline's a hobby coach, you need to be all over them. And so I'll just do a lot of blanket statements like, you know, hey, guys, I have room for 2 more coaches anywhere in the organization. As long as you're working the business a minimum of 2 hours a day, you're going to Summit, and you're clear on your vision, and will share that with me. And it doesn't matter who they are. And then they will reach out to me and I want to know why they think they should be in the hub, but they're all, so my hubs are just mixed with everybody. And the only thing I ask is that their diamond upline knows they're working with me. But that's key, guys, because it doesn't matter. Like, if they hit success, like unless you're going for elite, and everybody I think should strive for elite at least once in their business, it's all about the volume. It's not about your PS. And I always give first dibs to my PS. So if I want 10 people in my hub, my PSs are getting it first. I mean, I'll go as far as that, as long as they deserve it. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, look around. When was the last time you just opened your drill down? All levels, all 5. So hit all levels and just looked around. Look at the volume. Who's doing something? Have you just been like, hey, I just wanted to check in with you. Like, I noticed, you know, you have a couple coaches, like, you know, just do some research. It's super fun, and it's amazing who you have, and you may not even realize it because it's time consuming. You have to sit down and do that. But boy, it's exciting to look at who's performing and where they are and what they want, and if you can help them.
Yeah, I agree so much. I mean, I think that's not going to be a big surprise to my people. But you know, when people ask me what I do, one of the things, what I tell them at first is, I build a sales team. That's what I do. I build and the more productive the sales team is, the bigger bonus I can earn on their productivity. So my incentive is to help people become more productive. Talk about this hub idea. I'm interested in that. Like, what is that? Like, what does it look like? It's not a Facebook group. It's a hub. It's a Messenger. So I do message threads. Just message threads.
No real curriculum. depends what I'm feeling that day. A lot of calls to action. So for example, this morning, wake up, everybody share with me one conversation, go.
Yeah. So, so Facebook Messenger. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Cause I think that's one of those things. So it's more about, it sounds like anyway, it sounds like it's more about them just getting a slice of your energy, right? And helping them get a little bit focused. Do you find that they sort of are more willing to maybe open up to you or talk to you one-on-one about what's going on when you do that? Or what changes for people, maybe, is my question.
I think the accountability is huge. And I also think they realize, I will say this, I think a majority appreciate the time. They know I don't have to, and they appreciate that. They know that this is special because they didn't sign up with me, but they also don't understand. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. So I think there's that. I think just like with a parent or grandparent, don't we listen to a grandma over mom? So there's a tendency to maybe listen to someone who's not your upline, plus the energy from the team and learning from each other. That's why I say share a conversation, because guys, let's look at your conversations. Tell me it's not the same mistake over and over. Like, so all you have to do is look at each other's and then get stronger and stronger by repetition, and by feedback. So I'll give feedback and say, what do you think would have been a better thing to say? Where's the business tool? How come they didn't see a video? That's a little lengthy. Why didn't you offer them a phone call? Next time I want you to say this. Oh, I need help on that. Well, tell me what you think you should say, and then let's talk about that. So really just helping them get stronger so that they can teach their team. I believe if you correct some of the silly mistakes right on, your coach can go off and be good. But what happens is, especially when they're not yours, you don't know exactly how they were trained. You don't know how their upline looked at conversations. So my thought process is, I want to fix this and then send them off to go. Like, you're good. Like, let me take a look. What's happening? Let's talk about that. Let's fix some things, and now go work your business.
Yeah, I love that, the conversations. It's actually something I got from Chris Reed. One of the things Chris does a lot in his groups is share screenshots of conversations and just kind of go, look, here's the back and forth. Here's how I deal with this. And I actually did this last week because I had an interaction with somebody who had a price objection, right? And it was like, Shakeology is kind of expensive. And I was like, yeah, but you're married. You and your husband planning on taking Shakeology? Let me just do the math for you really quickly on if you signed up to become a preferred member, is how we talk about it. I hate the discount coach. They always focus on the word coach, right? So preferred member is kind of something Cindy Tremblay on our team came up with, and it works really well. And, I'm like, look, if you're both taking it, you're looking at like the difference between $260 and a little over $200. Now, are you interested? And I was like, oh, okay. And as a follow-up to this, the answer was no. Okay, fine. Like, the answer doesn't matter, right? What matters is the conversation. What matters is that we're out there talking to people about our products and learning how to get more comfortable. And then, do I take it personally when it's no, I don't take it personally. It's not my job. My job is just to ask.
Our product isn't for everybody.
Right.
It's just not. You have to be a special person to invest like that in your body. And there's way too much stuff on the market. So that's the other thing. And a big thing we did this year is we created what's called the Cash Academy. And it's like, what else can we sell? Why is it always a challenge pack? Why is this? It is so much around the challenge pack. Well, it's first of all the best value for the customer. We all get that. Do the math. It is incredible value. The TV is crap, and so we don't make any money. What if we started selling year BODs? That's double the. I don't know what I think that's 38 TV. And then you add a bag of Shakeology for 90 PV in 30 days. Instead of hitting them up for 160, you hit them up for 100, and then you add Shakeology later. Or how about our amazing performance stack? Everybody drinks a protein shake. Everybody. Our recovery should be in every cabinet. It's the right price point. It's really good. It's really clean. And everybody's drinking one anyway. So that's the other thing. It's not always saying, okay, well, I lost them on Shakeology. Well, hold on. What are you drinking 20 minutes after your workout? Just thinking of different ways, guys, and being a catalog coach. The greens. I have them every morning. They're in my stories. Why? Because then I sell them, but also because I would like to be healthier. And when I have greens, I have a serving of greens in my system before anything else I have. So just think about your own cabinet and what are you using? Are your kids getting beach bars? You got to invest to get back. You have to show, if you think it's expensive, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, beach bars are a great example of that. Like beach bars have become really popular, like in the Boy Scout troop, because take them on camping trips, and then Nicole surfs, and she goes on. They'll do tournaments, and like they're just on the beach, and a lot of times there's no place to get food. And I'm like, well, hey, why don't you take a box of these with you and hand them out? Hand them out, see what happens. Well, a lot of people like them because they're good and they're handy, right? Like that's what's great about bars. I love the idea of expanding the catalog, right? And like understanding one of the things that just recently, Jamie Baker is one of our coaches. Just recently, in the first call Monica did with her, Monica's like, look, you need to get the sample pack, right? Get the sample pack for Performance Line so you can try this stuff. You need to kind of know like what it feels like when you have Energize, because the first time you might feel a little weird because you know right away when you've had some Energize, right? That educating yourself about those products, using those products, I think is really foundational, and being able to show that to other people, right? So I love that that's important. So the Cash Academy, like talk to me, flesh that out a little bit more for me.
How do you maximize your volume? How do you not lead with the challenge pack? You know, okay, do we want Success Club? Of course. Do I always hit it? Yes, I do. But I don't stress about it. In terms of SC20, you're never going to see me, you know, I've hit SC20 months and months and months and months. But what's better is SC5 and then throw everything under your spouse account and upsell, upsell, upsell. Every cart that goes out should have an add-on. Hey, I just sent your share a cart for your 160 challenge pack with BOD and Shakeology. Hey, I threw in my Energize because I'm absolutely obsessed with it. You are going to love it. But if you don't want it, take it out. Every cart. Hey, I threw in my amazing beach bars. I gave you Cherry because they are amazing. My kids are addicted. If you don't want them, just take them out. Guess how many people take them out? Not many.
Yeah, Share a Cart has really changed things, that the ability to do things like that. And then even, you know, Beachbody, if you don't add it, Beachbody's going to offer it to them. But I still like the idea of adding it anyway and just telling them, hey, you can take it out.
So that's just one example of just little techniques we're teaching, you know, different ways to, you know, get Emerald right away, how to put everything under the spouse account. And you mentioned Millionaires Club, and what's as amazing as that is, it doesn't count your spouse account. So there's a lot more coaches that would have hit it. I would have hit it a year sooner, because the spouse account is better be that first account, as long as they're actively working it, and that it's not in secret, and that they do know they're a coach and are involved in your business, of course. It's just how to really maximize that week leg volume.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, whether, you know, spouse account, second business center, that's always a big one for us, is like getting to 2-star. You know, we have a coach, Cindy Tremblay, is about to open her third business center, you know, and it's like, oh, I had so much fun just going back and forth with her about where to put it, you know. And I mean, that I get so excited about stuff like that, because I'm like, Cindy, you're already running like 3, because she's got her first, her spouse's account, Patrick, and then her second, and now she's opening effectively a 4th, this third in her name. And I'm like, you're just not even going to believe how much this changes the game for you when you can start to effectively stack business centers. And it starts with that spouse account. But when you hit 2-star and you start opening secondary business centers and third business centers, all of a sudden, when you sell a Shakeology, you don't just get paid $30 retail commission. You're getting paid on all this volume that's going up through the CDCs. And it's, you know, it's more like $70, $80 that you make off of a Shakeology. There's a lot more incentive to sell Shakeology when that's the type of commission you're making, if you're effectively stacking business centers. And for you guys out there who are like, talk to me. Okay. Like I love talking about this stuff. I literally geek out on this stuff. Jamie Fitzpatrick and I just spent about an hour maybe just going back and forth about philosophical stuff. And
well, what other business can you duplicate yourself?
Yeah.
Talk about 5 ships. What if 3 of them are you? Now you just need 2 people. I just don't think people realize the opportunity. If you're willing to hustle, it's just to keep creating yourself over and over again. Your spouse, your second, your third. So there's 4 of me running around.
Yeah, and who works harder than you?
You, your wife, your ex-wife.
Right? Like who works harder? That's how I think of it, is like, look, especially in Cindy's situation, Cindy's by far the most productive person in our organization, and I'm like, this is exciting for you because you're the hardest working person. And I want, and I encourage her to duplicate, and like, look, and she has a lot of growing emerging leaders. And I firmly believe that it's just a matter of time until somebody comes and kind of, takes her off the throne, because she's got a lot of people who are in her organization who are challenging her.
You should pray. I always pray someone just flies by me. Isn't that our goal?
100%. Talk about that a little bit. I think that's a challenging thing often, for people. They start to sort of get into this thing, they do it, somebody comes in, and for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's just circumstance, right? Like for me, I came in, I wasn't really interested, and then the economy fell apart. You'll hear that story on Thursday night. The economy fell apart, and I was like, oh my God, like my neighbor is losing all of their shit. They're losing their car, house, ATVs, jet skis, losing everything, getting cleaned out. I can't let that happen. And all of a sudden I caught some fire. And a lot of times that kind of fire from below happens. Talk about that a little bit. It can be often, that can be difficult for people.
Well, I think in the beginning, if you're focused on recognition, you have to know what you want, though. I don't know. I look at it, and if you're building a tribe, man, you're running together. So I think people, I didn't really experience that. I wish I could say I had someone higher ranking than me. Like, I still look for that person every day. So maybe it's just because I haven't really experienced that either. But it's hard. It's hard. Like, look at just even a good friend who's a coach that's killing it. It's my own experience. It's hard. I'm always like, what is, she's so amazing. And so it's just the blinders. It's just the blinders and just hustling, because there's going to be ups and downs. And the last few years haven't been as easy as 5 years ago, right? We all know that. If you're coming in today, you're not doing what I did 7 years ago. Things are totally different. There's Instagram. That's a whole nother day. So things are totally different. It's just staying in your lane. That's it. I think it's just staying in your lane. And if you're surrounded by the right people, the energy will be right, and you do it together. Team up. That's a success partner. That's someone you get in a hub with. That's all. Just join forces. My success partners aren't on my team. They're Tara Bialik and Candace Talbot. But we're all in very similar places in our business, and we help each other, but it doesn't impact our paycheck. Right? Because it's not about that. It's just the energy you're around.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I love the stay in your lane, understand what you want to get out of this thing. I think people have got to learn to find recognition in a mirror, right? Like be able to look in the mirror and get it from there, get it from there. Be able to look yourself in the mirror and go, okay, good job, good work, proud of you, right?
Yeah, and what is that? Like, is that $500 a month? To identify, what is that recognition? Is it Success Club 10? Is it $500 a month? Is it 2-star by January to open another U? And now, once you identify that, what are the behaviors? And identifying those, and then just waking up and doing them every day, and making it, easy. And my behaviors are the same as yours. Our behaviors don't change. It's just maybe how much we're doing them.
Yeah. And on that point, I really, again, and I posted the link to Shane's Champions page. I don't know why I was flake on the name of it. To the Champions page training, which again is like a very tactical. She's going to sit there and say, okay, I want you to go here and do this, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to go do it, and sets a timer. Like, she sets a timer. It's like, look, here you have 3 minutes to go do this. And it's just a sort of step-by-step, specifically with Instagram, right? Like, that's her big focus. I'm more of a Facebook person, so I found that to be extremely helpful, by the way. Really quickly, anything you would add to that? Like, because that was from January. I don't think things have really changed, but, you know.
Not since January, no. I mean, the only thing I will say is the biggest struggle is building your following. And I personally just think it's so time consuming and so difficult. And if I could just recommend to anybody really serious about this business, and if you're watching this call, you probably are, is you have to invest in your business. You've got to take a certain percentage and put it back. And if you guys are making $300 a month, take 10% of that and make sure you're putting it back into your business, and go hire someone on Upworks.com that is from another country. Don't pay more than $5 an hour, and make sure they have a really good rating, and have them go build your following, because the work is, thanks so much for the follow. This is who I am. It's nice to connect, loving on their stuff. That you do. But you don't need to go find people unless you have all day. I just find that Instagram can burn people out. It's just a lot. It's not like it was when I started. We had to post on Facebook twice a day. It's not like that anymore. So it can be daunting. So if I would just say, if you can afford $20 a week, go get someone on Upworks to build your following, because you got to get, so it's not always the story. It's not always your message that's wrong. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be stronger on social media, but your message, you might be spot on and being like, why aren't I growing? I'm such a good poster and I'm consistent, and like, look at that graphic. But it's who's seeing it. Are you getting it in front of enough people? If 50 people are watching a story, it's 50 people. There's a billion people in the world.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll just leave with is, don't forget where we came from in Facebook. Don't go so into a new platform that we forget where we came from. And I think that happens. I also think people invest all in their stories, and we forget that posting on pages is so important, and stories can be exhausting. And again, guys, unless you have an incredible following, how many people are seeing them? So you still have to be posting on the platforms. And I've seen that happen for myself, where we're focusing on this new stuff, and because it's so much, we're forgetting about how did we get successful to begin with. Find a middle ground. I had to pull myself back and get real, because I saw a dip in my business and I was working harder. And so be aware of that too.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. You know, that over time, the tactics are going to change. We did a call a couple of weeks ago about the upcoming changes with Facebook, when Facebook really implements FB5, which is already on the mobile app. And you see the difference, and it's even a little wonky with the way it connects sometimes, I've noticed. That's coming to desktop. Those changes are coming, and things are going to change, and things like Messenger are going to become much more prominent. We're going to have to adapt, you know, as those things change. It's really easy to get kind of left behind. I think focusing on the fundamentals and things like, you know, stuff in this book, and GoPro, which I have a copy of somewhere. I actually have well, technology let us down there. You may have noticed a rather abrupt ending to that call. We were kind of wrapping up anyway. But yeah, it just kicked us off. And so that was the live that was in the group. I'm just recording a little bit of a, I'm tying a bow on it, is what I just told Shane I was going to do. So we don't just end. Great call. Really appreciate Shane. I think a lot of what she's talking about is important. You know, the one thing that really stands out with her here, a couple things stand out. One, real belief. Like, I do remember vividly that conversation, and she mentioned Candace Talbot, which is one of her success partners. And she was with Candace when we had this talk in Nashville. And I remember just sitting down with both of them and going, whoa, these two are just going to crush this thing. And they have. And that real belief and gaining that is so important. And then tying that into a vision, you know, tying that into a vision of your life that makes it real. It just hasn't happened yet. You've got to get to that point where it's real and you know that this thing is going to happen for you. That's where Shane was able to get to. You know, she was able to get to a point where she just felt like, man, I know this is going to happen and I know what I need to do. And it's about consistency over time. And that's really what she's done. Really recommend that you go check out that Champions page training for like the just nuts and bolts. Like, okay, take out your phone. I mean, she walks you through it. Take out your phone. Here's what you're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. Right now, go do it. He sets a timer and you have a certain amount of time to go do it. That's just her day. It's just a routine. She walks you right through it. I actually really love a lot of that training. I just know Shane personally, which is why I really gravitated towards her. Also really creative. Like look at the creative ways that she's able to implement different things in her business, right? So the things you're hearing about in normal calls, right? Like she doesn't do a Facebook group necessarily for leaders. Instead, it's just a messenger thread. This hub is the concept she talked about, right? And helping them work through conversations and things like that. I think that's really good. You know, the idea of the Cash Academy, like taking a look at it and going like, you know, we have more than challenge packs here. How do we get people to understand that? How do we work with them and help them implement all that stuff in what they're doing? And then really, I think just, again, going back to these two books, which is about where we got cut off for whatever reason, it's about finding 5 people, 5 good people. And over time, as Shane talked about, you probably are going to have to replace them. Sometimes you find people like Lee Ratterman, you know, Monica, that was the first person Monica signed up, was Lee. And Lee ends up being, you know, business partner for 12 years now and produces an incredibly consistent on her own production, but also in supporting her team. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's not. And sometimes people come in and they have a great 4 or 5 years or whatever, and they grow, and then they, for whatever reason, life changes for them. And this isn't a fit anymore. And that happens. And that's okay. You know, you're going to have to maybe replace some people is kind of what Shane's talking about. But over time, if you just continue to do that, right, look for 5 and then get them to do the same thing. Go looking for 5 people. I thought it was a great call. I'm so sorry we got cut off. I don't know what happened there, but we were wrapping up anyway, so at least it didn't get cut off like in the middle of the call. So that's it for now. We'll come back and see you guys. Actually, not next week unless Monica wants to do the call. I am going to Mexico to go surfing. So, but I will talk to you guys soon. I hope you're doing well. Remember, plant-based vegan recover is out. And the packets for chocolate are coming very soon. I think it's the 28th, but I'm not positive about that. More on that later.